We're out in Rhyolite, Nevada this morning. It's already a hot one out here. This is a free open air museum out here. This here they're calling the Serving Ghost. It was donated to the museum in 2010. Originally the ghost was serving from a set of vertical wooden bottles that eventually disintegrated. The low profile artist palette was more recently interpreted. Like several artists came out and have their pieces out here. That you see off in the distance over there is Lady Desert, the Venus of Nevada. Refers back to classical Greek sculpture while maintaining a pixelated presence in the high-tech world of the 21st century. We'll walk over there in a minute. These says is the Last Supper, a ghostly interpretation of Christ and his disciples sighted against the backdrop of an expansive Amargosa Valley. These are fun. Rock pile over here. It's like people have been stacking rocks on top of each other. I'm not sure what they use this building for. Maybe they don't. Like an old stove. It's a bunch of old stuff they put up here. Look at that old frying pan. Horns. Look how old that stuff is. This almost looks like a gas cap. This one here is called 1001 Cranes. It's an origami crane. The 1,000 in its title refers to the 1,000 small paper cranes that are strung together to make this, which is a traditional gift at weddings and sometimes for newborn babies. The size of the metal crane is calculated to roughly equal the total size of 1,000 paper cranes, so it is 1001. Here's a close-up of the Lady Desert, the Venus of Nevada. This one is called the portone, meaning doorway in Italian, is a meditation on restoration and transformation, and the hidden power that lies within us all. Modeled after a beta sheet, a critical substructure that makes up the protein catalyst, this life-protecting enzyme is found in nearly all living organisms. Portone offers viewers a moment of refuge and renewal from within these chaotic times in which we all live. Oh, look at this couch. It says fragile, sit gently, no groups. It's called Sit Here. It was created as an artist in residence project at the Lyde Discovery Children's Museum in Las Vegas. The couch was rescued, relocated, and rehabilitated at Goldwell in 2007, where it continues to be restored and maintained, which is what they consider this open air museum. A lot of work went into that. You've got cup holders for you. This guy rode his bike out here, but he didn't survive, it looks like. I wouldn't either if I rode my bike out here. He's called Ghost Rider. He was constructed like the Last Supper, a local Beatty resident who donated his effort and bicycle to the piece. That's a fun one. His tires didn't survive it, though, either. The inner tube's hanging out, no more tire. Plaque down here that says Rhyolite's District of Shadows. Up the hill lies the financial and population core of Ryholite, capital of Rhyolite, and trade center for Ryholite. The rare lights, then air mineral, that gave the city its power, wealth, and some said purpose. You'll see bottle houses built from discarded Ryholite and the Cook's Bank, where the pure substance was stored, and the brave 57 killed by Pedrica, the Unifier. Indeed, the city feels much the same today as it did after her forces looted it. But there were those who believed the treasure of this Wome was its land, light, and extraordinary nature, not value of Ryholite itself, mind nowhere else. Right here was Geldwell, or District of Shadows, in the cognate tongue, after the miners of many faiths who prayed and created here out of sight of the greedy. As Rhyolite grew, this became the spiritual and cultural heart of the community, with several legendary museums. One, where art and even hallways floated just above the desert floor, was run by Horfire Golden, who ironically saved the city's horde at the cost of his own life. That's Ikera. Its Dre Peters Ikera represents a female counterpoint to the Greek myth of Icarus, the boy who tried to fly to the sun with wings bound with wax. The figure is hand carved on site. I just realized this over here that we were looking at when I was reading that marker says it's a tribute to Shorty Harris. He was a legendary prospector in Rhyolite. His hopeful companion, a penguin, represents the artist who always felt out of place in the desert. That was what that was. Some old, I guess they were houses back in the time, but looks like they've been pretty heavily vandalized. I think there's pieces of another one out there. This looks like an old um, off your bike seat, the frame where you would carry stuff. Yeah, this looks like, excuse me, somebody's house. And a fireplace looks like right there. Oh, crumbling in. Well, I stayed in this little cabin. Left the chair behind, looks like. And the bed. That's probably a closet. Looks like most of this one's caved in. Definitely nothing left of this one. Old truck. Oh, it's got a really fancy door handle. It's like Allen wrench. Hey, it's still got the handle. Seat's seen better days. Had what 4,543 miles, and who knows how many times that rolled over. Car out here. Is that a Thunderbird? I'm not sure what it is. It's not in too good a shape though. Oh, but if you need to change the oil while you're out here, they did leave an oil filter for you. However, it is missing the motor, so you might not need that oil filter. Look at all these cans. Wow. Oh, the cans down there. Or do they just dump all their cans here? Or here's the cleanup somebody put them here? I don't know. That doesn't even look like it was ever opened. Sure what that is over there. Oh, here's the, looks like the muffler off vehicle. What is that, you suppose? I don't know. This thing got some sort of lever or something on it. Huh. What is that? So, sun's shining on my camera, so I don't know how well you're going to be able to see this, but engine over here for you. Maybe that's the engine out of that car. Oh, that stove has a name on it. J.S. Graham Manufacturing, San Francisco. Looks like a door panel over here, all shot up. This was probably refrigerator, it looks like. Yeah, I'd say that was a fridge. And actually, that's probably, that other door is probably the door off of this one, and that one over there, probably actually the doors off this fridge. Maybe a car seat. Another old pan or bucket. Does it have a lid? Oh, looks like it went like that. There's a drawer. Maybe over the stove. Look at that. I position the camera better. What do you suppose this was? Oh, there's the roller. Looks like that's attached to it. Yeah, that's attached to it. Well, whatever it was, looks like there's the gas. So this is the gas tank of it. This is the Tom Kelly Bottle House. Looks like you can't go back in there anymore. The Tom Kelly Bottle House is one of the few remaining examples of the bottle house architecture in the United States. In Nevada, where wood is scarce and expensive, miners often built their houses with whatever was cheap and readily available. In many cases, glass bottles fit the bill. The bottles would be used like bricks and mortar in with the adobe. Bottle houses are great in hot climates because they are cool in the summer, hold heat in the winter, and allow for natural light. This bottle house was built in 1906 by Tom Kelly, an Australian-born stonemason turned gold miner, using over 50,000 bottles. Kelly paid local children 10 cents for a wheelbarrow full of bottles, about $3 in 2021. The building cost about $2,500, with most of the money going for wood trim and fixtures. Instead of living in the house, Kelly decided to auction it off. He sold 400 tickets at $5 apiece, losing about $500 on the deal. The raffle was won by the Bennett family, who lived in the house from 1906 to 1914. In 1907, the Bennetts hired Dave Kinney, a shipwright by trade, to build the porch roof and add the false chimney and gingerbread trim. The bottle house's unique location and appearance made it a sought-after filming location. In 1924, Paramount Pictures used it in the film Wanderers in the Wasteland, based off a Zane Grey novel. Later that same year, the house was also used in the film The Airmail. During that time, one of the film crews tore down the rear wall so filming could take place inside the building. After wrapping up the production, company rebuilt the wall and did basic stabilization and restoration work on the exterior. Train depot. In keeping with its prominence as a mining center, Rhyolite was serviced by three railroads: the Las Vegas and Tonopah, the Tonopah and Tidewater, and the Bullfrog Goldfield. The Las Vegas and Tonopah Railroad laid 1 mile of track per day, then 2 miles of track per day in its hurry to connect Rhyolite with the outside world. The first train from the Las Vegas and Tonopah entered Rhyolite at 7 p.m. on December 14th, 1906, with about 100 passengers. It was a big deal for a young mining town to be serviced by one railroad, but three railroads were almost unheard of in the history of Nevada. With three railroads, it seemed that Rhyolite was destined to be the largest mining camp in the state, and the first few boom years made this prediction look inevitable. By 1907, the Las Vegas and Tonopah alone was hauling 50 freight cars into town per day. The large volume of freight required a large depot to handle it. In September 1907, the Las Vegas and Tonopah began building the depot that stands before you. It is constructed of concrete block with a solid concrete foundation in the Mission Revival style. There was a gentleman's waiting area on the east end and a ladies' waiting room on the west end. A separate baggage room is located east of the men's waiting area. The ticket office was located in the center of the building, and the ticket agent quarters were located upstairs. It was planned to take an entire city block on Golden Street and cost approximately $130,000, the equivalent of $3,798,393 in 2021. The Las Vegas and Tonopah Railroad Depot was completed in June 1908, around the same time that Ryholite began its slow decline. Within months of its completion, more people were leaving Ryholite through the depot than were arriving. The railroad turned a small profit in 1908, but lost money every following year until it was finally dismantled in 1919. The tracks were salvaged, but the depot was left to stand as one of the few remaining buildings from the Rhyolite boom, primarily because it could not be moved elsewhere. In the 1920s, Rhyolite enjoyed a small revival through tourism. Westmoreland bought the depot in 1935 and, beginning in 1937, operated it as the Rhyolite Ghost Casino. The drinking and gaming were conducted downstairs, while a different type of hospitality, reportedly staffed by working women, was conducted upstairs in the old ticket agent's quarters. Like the town before it, the casino had a relatively short life. The onset of World War II and the associated war effort, including fuel rationing, completely drained the area's economy. By the 1960s, the building had passed to Moreland's sister, Mrs. Herschel Heisler, who operated the lower floor as a museum and gift shop for tourists. Old train car. Can't enter this though. Union Pacific. Probably a miner's shack. I just noticed there's a old box spring out here. Guess I don't know if this is the front or the back. This is an old miner's cabin. There's a sign out here that says, the so-called miner's cabin was built using cast-in-place rubble and adobe construction, which was typical in Rhyolite. Cast-in-place construction used wood blocks and planks to form a box to length the desired wall. Stone and rammed earth or adobe was then placed inside the box to form the first course of the wall. Additional retaining planks and material would be added until the desired height of the wall was achieved. The planks would then be removed and plaster would be applied to both the interior and exterior walls. If you look around the windows and doors of this building, you can still see the wood blocks that were used to attach the planks. Built around or before 1906, there is little information available about Miner's Cabin. Due to its location near the red light district, some believe it was a brothel. Others have noted that the building's proximity to the Bullfrog and Goldfield railroad tracks may indicate it served as offices for the railroad. Regardless of its original use, Miner's Cabin is one of the few Rhyolite buildings still standing. As such, it has been one of the Bureau of Land Management's priorities for preservation. Here's an old picture of it. It's in really good shape, actually. Somebody threw a rock or something and busted the window out. I don't know why people do that stuff. I'm not sure what the point of it is. Yeah, it's in really good condition. Bet that's the original roof as well. Maybe not, but I bet it is. There's the front door, probably, and that other one was probably the back door, is what I'm guessing. There's several of these signs out here. They say warning rattlesnakes. Hoping I don't come across one while I'm out here. So it looks like red light district was quite a ways away from the bank and stuff that you can see out over there. This must have been maybe another cabin or house. This one was pretty big, whatever it was. Ways away from the train station. See that? Train station's clear out over there. Looks like there's another one over here. Let's go see what that one looks like. Let's check out the dance hall. Not much left of the dance hall. Looks like it was pretty big though as well. Here's the Rhyolite jail. Well, what's left of the Rhyolite jail. It says Rhyolite was not a notoriously bad town, but some residents were not strictly law-abiding citizens. There were gunfights on Golden Street, brawls, and normal everyday disputes. The first gunfight in the growing town took place on December 15th, 1904. There were bad feelings between two men, and that evening, right about dinner time, the two shot it out in the Monaco saloon. Both fired at very close range, with gun barrels almost touching. After being examined by the local doctor, it was noted that they were both good boys. Both good boys had good aim, evidently. Alas, they were both good and dead. During Rhyolite's boom, its residents decided they needed a jail as much as, if not more so, than a large schoolhouse. The closest jail was in Bullfrog, and transporting prisoners by wagon cost the county $15 per trip. In January 1907, the Nye County Commissioners approved the building of a jail, appropriating $5,000 for its construction. The Rhyolite Jail was a reinforced concrete building containing a jailer's quarters, a courtroom, and four 6.5 square foot steel cells. However, after 49 striking Australians were arrested for rioting in the nearby settlement of Bonnie Clare, this setup proved insufficient. It looked like a very big jail. That's a big steel door, though. Ooh, doesn't open. This was their view out the jail. Oh, I think it goes further back than what we were seeing there. I think maybe the actual jail part might be back here. It's behind that steel door that's shut. Well, the jail is right here by the red light district. Yeah, see here's some bars back here. So behind that steel door was actually the jail cells for the prisoners. That front room was probably used for the other stuff. Oh, yeah. So this is probably, maybe this was the front of it. No, this is the side of it. See if we can see anything in here. People have rocks stacked up here. Oh, looks like somebody pried the bars apart up here. They're trying to get out. They're tired of being in Rhyolite's jail. Oh, here too. Or maybe that's just the design. I don't know. Well, there's the inside the jail cell. There's another big steel door out here. And then those two windows we were looking out when we went in. Yeah. Jail out in the middle of nowhere. Little trail going up to something. Oh, it's a mine. There's a mine up here. Unsafe mine. Stay out. Yeah, it looks like people split the barbed wire and went in anyway. But we're not going to do that. So from the mine, I turn this around, you'll kind of see how spread out this town was. Of course, there's probably not a lot of buildings left now, and there's probably a whole lot more over there. There's the jail we were just at. Train station. Miner's cabin. Mona Bell's grave. The story of Mona Bell is not an uncommon one. Women like her could be found throughout the mining camps of the West. What is uncommon about Mona's story is how her very public death allowed her tale to be told in a time when the identities of most working women were obscured by a string of aliases and a tendency to never stay in one place too long. Mona Bell was born Sarah Isabel Peterman on October 20th, 1887, in Battle Creek, Nebraska. When she was 15, her family moved to Seattle. Soon after she graduated from Ballard High School in 1906, Isabella met and married Clinton Columbus Heskett, and they settled in Arrow, Colorado, where by all accounts Isabel was a dutiful wife. In 1907, C.C. was accused of forging checks and quickly left town. On his way out, C.C. asked his friend, Fred Skinner, to look out for Isabel. Fred and Isabel quickly fell in love and headed west, causing trouble along the way. Isabel was arrested for vagrancy for combative behavior in saloons, and Fred gambled heavily in every town. Soon, gold and silver drew them to central Nevada. It was reported that Isabel first became a working girl in Fallon, Nevada. The couple moved to Manhattan, Nevada in October 1907, where Isabel, now going by the name of Mona Bell, worked at the Parlor Saloon in the red light district. A month after arriving in Manhattan, Mona and Fred were arrested for allegedly robbing one of Mona's clients. Although acquitted of the robbery, Fred was rearrested for punching the judge as he was escorted from the courtroom. While Fred was serving his jail sentence in Tonopah, Mona moved to Rhyolite in search of work to pay off Fred's $300 fine. She soon found employment in Rhyolite's Adobe Dance Hall and changed her name to Norma. A local newspaper stated she drank and smoked and swore like a pirate. After Fred was released from jail, he and Mona continued down a turbulent path. On January 3rd, 1908, Fred ran down the street screaming that he had shot Mona and Mona had shot him. Mona died that night. As a small crowd formed in the daylight, rumblings of anger built in Rhyolite. Even though Mona was a prostitute, many felt that she was a kindly woman who had been led astray by Fred Skinner. Porter Brothers Store. Like many merchants of the time, the Porter brothers, Hiram and Lindman, moved from mining camp to mining camp, following the reports of booms and strikes. In 1902, they opened a painting business in San Francisco, following the rich gold strikes in Southern California. They opened mercantiles in Johannesburg, Ballarat near Death Valley, Beatty, and of course this one in Rhyolite. Just some random seats hanging out here. Wonder how old those are. Overbury Building. John Overbury, a native of Orange, New Jersey, came to Nevada in 1902 and made his fortune in the early days of the Tonopah mining boom. Like many of his peers, he came to Rhyolite hoping to be a part of the new big boom. Local newspapers chronicled Overbury's arrival in a swell Oldsmobile. The next spring, he ordered a second Oldsmobile, and per the Rhyolite Herald, drove author Jack London down from Goldfield and out to Death Valley. Construction of the Overbury building began in 1906. It was completed in June 1907. The structure is 45 feet wide by 80 feet long and cost somewhere between $45,000 to $60,000 to build. The building was meant to be 2 stories tall. However, after John Cook began constructing a 3-story building just up the street, Overbury quickly changed his mind and his building became 3 stories tall. The Overbury building was one of the first general-purpose buildings in Rhyolite and the largest stone building. As one of the more prominent commercial hubs in town, it was fully equipped with fireproof shutters, an automatic fire suppression system, and private bathrooms. At its height, the building housed a stock brokerage firm, the First National Bank of Rhyolite, a dentist, and an attorney's office. Like many of the other grand buildings in town, the Overbury building was abandoned by 1910 and much of it was dismantled by 1924. Cook Bank Building. The Cook Bank is the most iconic building in Rhyolite and is one of the most photographed ruins in Nevada. John Cook and his brothers started the John S. Cook and Company Bank in Goldfield, Nevada in January 1905. Later that same year, they opened a new branch in Rhyolite. The bank's first location was in a rented building on Main Street. After buying this lot on Golden Street, construction of the Cook Bank building began in the spring of 1907. One of 4 banks in Rhyolite, the Cook Bank building was by far the finest. It was built of poured concrete. The building was 3 stories tall and had a basement that housed the post office. The interior was finished with marble staircases and mahogany accents. It also boasted modern conveniences such as electric lights and indoor plumbing. Despite its opulence, the Cook Bank was open less than 2 years. In the summer and fall of 1907, a financial crisis, often referred to as the Knickerbocker crisis, caused banks across the country to go bankrupt. By 1910, the Cook Bank was closed, and John Cook had sold off all the building's fixtures. Since the closure of the Cook Bank, the building has appeared in many movies, including The Airmail, The Arrogant, Cherry 2000, The Island, Delusion, Ramona, The Reward, Wanderer of the Wasteland, Six String Samurai, Rough Riders, Roundup, Bone Dry, Ultraviolet, and more. The Rhyolite Schoolhouse. This is the second schoolhouse built in Rhyolite. The first was a small wooden building that was built on 2 lots that had been donated expressly for the purpose. In February 1906, the first school opened with 26 students. 1 month later, there were 46. By October, there were 74 students and 1 teacher. The student body grew rapidly as families streamed into the growing town. 1 year after opening, 225 additional students were enrolled. Understandably, the teacher was said to have had a nervous breakdown from the number of students packed into the original school. The need for a larger schoolhouse became urgent. In September 1907, a $20,000 bond was passed by voters, and land was donated at the intersection of Cochran Street and Colorado Avenue. The new school was built using concrete blocks and poured concrete walls. The first floor was divided into 3 classrooms with a large hallway, and the second floor had 1 classroom and an auditorium. The Miners' Union Hall used to stand here. Says mining is and always has been a hazardous occupation. Miners work long hours underground, sinking shafts and cutting underground tunnels to reach the rich ore deposits. Most of this work was accomplished using large amounts of blasting powder. Accidents in the mines were common. The local Bonanza Miners Union, number 235, was formed during the early days of Ryholite. The union was one of the strongest organizations in Ryholite and, by April 1907, boasted 1,400 members. Any miner could be a member for dues of $2 a month. With those dues, the union sought a funeral arrangements for local miners and operated a miners' hospital which provided the patient with a bed, board, and trained nurse attendants. The Union Hall was located on Golden Street among the most prominent businesses in town. It was constructed of large timbers and featured a pressed tin ceiling. After a fire destroyed the Union Hall in 1909, it was rebuilt with a stone foundation and basement. After the demise of Rhyolite, the Union Hall was moved to the nearby town of Beatty. In Beatty, it served as the old town hall and was a social center of the town for many years. The hall was finally torn down in the 1960s. The wooden emblem that once graced the doors of the Union Hall in Rhyolite now hangs at the Beatty Museum. Thanks for hanging out with us on another Doberlander adventure. See you on the next one.